Hello, my name's Nick Long. I'm running for the mayor election in Lewisham. We have a by-election on the 7th of March, and I'm running as an independent candidate backed by the Transform Party.
So, this is I believe it's your first time standing for the mayoralty, Nick. What's making you stand?
Well, I've stood many times in different elections for various socialist, trade union, left-wing parties. But this is the first time we've had a by-election in Lewisham with Damien Egan. He's developed or rediscovered his West Country drawl, and he's gone back to his homeland in Bristol, and he's standing in a by-election. And he's been selected as a parliamentary candidate there. So obviously he's resigned, and we have an unusual situation where we have an election for mayor.
Describe to people in Lewisham what you do outside of politics.
Outside of politics, I work for a North London borough. I'm an environmental health officer, obviously inspecting 18-metre tall dwellings, make sure developers and builders are tackling their hazards in their dwellings and tackling the issue of cladding. But my day-to-day job in reality is inspecting empty properties and inspecting property that's rented out to young people, students, what's known as houses in multiple occupation.
What's your favourite part of Lewisham?
The favourite part of Lewisham, I think, is the part that boroughs, or our borough neighbours with Greenwich, and that's Blackheath. Blackheath has a long history, and it's a very beautiful open space.
If there is one place in Lewisham that you take a friend or a work colleague to eat, where are you going to take them?
I would take them to a wonderful restaurant owned by a Korean woman, but it's the Sapporo restaurant in Catford Broadway. I've been going there since the early 80s, and it's Japanese food.
You say in your manifesto you want to be a one-term mayor. Why is that?
I want to be a one-term mayor because I want to abolish the undemocratic system of the mayor and return to a traditional committee structure. And the wise people of Bristol have recently voted to get rid of their mayor. Hopefully they'll tell that to Damien Egan. And also Liverpool have got rid of their mayor.
Your manifesto includes promises like compulsory purchases on long-term dwellings, keeping council services in-house, and also free school meals. How are you paying for it?
Well, one of the ways we could pay for it is by abolishing the mayor. My calculations are that would save over 500,000 because the mayor gets over 80k for the on costs and all the cabinet members. So returning to a traditional committee structure would make big savings for the authority going forward.
You also want to end the disrepair of private rented homes from tenants at risk of what's called a Category 1 hazard. So describe to my viewers what a Category 1 hazard is. Well,
there are 29 hazards in dwellings, and certain ones are very, very highly rated and scored. That's like damp and mould. So we've recently heard the tragic case of a young boy I think it was in Rochdale, who died because of very hazardous conditions. So Lewisham needs to do more. We need to step up the plate, employ more staff to actually tackle disrepair. And what Lewisham doesn't do is we don't do works in default. And we as a council should be doing more of that. Serving notice on landlords, improvement notices, and if they don't do the work, if their tenants are at risk, we should take enforcement action and we should do the work in default.
How will you have the powers to do that though if these dwellings are in private hands and not in the hands of Lewisham Council?
Well, it doesn't matter. As an authority under the 2004 Housing Act, we have a duty to tackle housing disrepair, whether it's publicly owned, whether it's in the private rented sector, and my big bugbear is housing associations. They think sometimes they're above the law, but in reality, the law doesn't discriminate. And if they're putting their tenants at risk, we as a council need to take action.
Describe to me the number one issue facing Lewisham at the moment.
The number one issue, and I probably would say this as a housing worker, is homelessness. It's housing disrepair. It's affordability. Many people can't even afford to rent a house or a flat. What they're now doing is people are renting a room in a house in multiple occupation where there are greater risks and hazards.
So if you are elected, you have said you want to be a one-term mayor. Your term technically ends in May 2026.
Yes.
How many homes do you think you can build for the people of Lewisham in that time, or at least get started on?
Well, I fully support the programme that's already in place. It needs to be increased and stepped up, more resources put into that. But obviously, if I'm only a mayor for a very short period, I want to work with the community to organise a petition and actually gather signatures. So I think it's about 12,000 signatures we would need to abolish the mayor.
Why are you calling for Lewisham to be twinned with Gaza at the moment?
Well, that's a hot political issue for many, many people, not just Muslim people. Many people, and even many Jewish people, are astounded that this right-wing government in Israel are carrying out basically genocide. And the ICJ ruling has indicated there's a case to answer for Israel. So there are a growing number of Muslims in the borough. I've joined some of the biggest demonstrations around this issue since the Save Lewisham Hospital campaign, which I was involved with. So it's a key issue, and twinning with some of the cities in Gaza, we can give aid, support to those desperate communities to rebuild their land, rebuild Gaza.
Do you think the people of Lewisham would care about an issue happening in different countries and rather would want a mayor to focus on stuff happening in Lewisham?
Lewisham is an international city. We're part of a global world, and many, many people have family, friends, relatives, have actually gone to work in different countries around the world, so we are not confined to our borough. We are global citizens in Lewisham. Many, many languages are spoken here, so we take an international view of the world.
Let's fast forward to the 8th of March. Let's just say you've been elected as the Mayor of Lewisham. What does day one of a Mayor Nick Long administration look like?
Well, first of all, it would mean me having a nice hearty breakfast in the Stage Door Cafe where we've just had a coffee and a tea, and I would start my day obviously receiving hopefully congratulations from around the country, but I would be looking to get a good night's sleep first of all, because starting an administration when you're woozy-headed and lacking sleep is not a good start. So I'd go back and have a good kip and come in probably at 12 o'clock and start my day into the evening.
What would you